Good morning to no one. Currently 0 people in the live, but I bought a dozen large eggs, supposedly, but some of them are real tiny. I mean, it's been a while since I've bought eggs, but I guess that's a large egg. Oh, hi people. Thanks for showing up. On a Saturday morning. It is currently before 10 a.m. And we're just going to bake off our rugelach. It's been a multi-day project. I'm going to crack an egg. We're going to make a little egg wash, sprinkle some sugar on top, heat up the oven, and just get things baking. I'm trying to pick out the smallest egg because we don't really need that much egg wash. And yeah, hopefully it bakes, you know? Nemo's good. He kept waking me up today, of course, as usual. He ate. He's hiding in the closet. I've been having hiccups for no reason. I don't know why it's been happening. It's very annoying. Egg wash. You need an egg, you need a brush. I'm gonna get some of our crunchy sugar. Oh, actually, let's use this. This is prettier. Actually, no. I changed my mind. Let's go with the golden crystal. I like the slightly earthier tones on this one. The sparkly tones I feel like are more wintry, and I also think that sugar tends to melt a little bit more. I'm thinking about the weather. It's a little difficult to cook with heat. As if I haven't complained enough about that. All right. Here is our assembled rugelach from yesterday. This is the chocolate cherry. I fear this is going to be a bit of a messy bake. As you can see, there's a lot of filling in here. And the walnuts are going to be a little bit more contained. You can already see how much neater they are. I'm going to be baking these on a silpat, which is a silicone mat. Mostly because I think the silicone mat gives it a little bit of insulation so that the bottoms don't burn as quickly or as much. I have these silicone mats. Hello, Miss Leia XOXO. I hope you have a good year ahead. And just gonna lay them down like so. This tray is a little bit small than the standard size. This one lays perfectly. We have a third. I don't think we'll need the third. I'll lay it down here for now. We're going to be baking these at 350. I have a glass of tea leaves with cold water in there. As the oven heats up, I think it's just going to probably help me brew the tea, I figured why not make use of all of the heat. I've been trying to think up of ways to like utilize the heat as the oven goes off, because the oven does release a lot of heat into the room. Sometimes I'll lay like wet towels on top so that they dry faster. Crack the egg. Nice egg. Apparently the FDA just issued a big warning about eggs. Apparently there's salmonella in a lot of eggs. So just so you know, your eggs might have salmonella in it. It's very rare that I use a whole egg undiluted for an egg wash. I usually just try to use part of the egg. But we do have 48 cookies today, so I figured let's just make sure we have enough coverage. And if there's any extra, I don't know, we'll cook it, I'll eat it, something. Maybe we can use the leftover egg wash to make a little makeshift microwave cake, since we were talking about microwave cakes yesterday. But yeah, you just want to make sure that you beat it well. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll sprinkle a little salt and sugar in here. I might do that. The sugar helps it caramelize more evenly, so it's totally up to you. I like using finer granulated sugar for this. Maybe I'll go ahead and use some of my vanilla sugar on the fine sprinkle setting, so we get more of the powdered sugar in here. So, you know, just like a half teaspoon of sugar. And if you want, you can do a pinch of salt. I'm not going to do the salt because I think the cookies already have quite a bit of salt in them. But the salt is a nice thing to add if you're brushing like a bread loaf with this. I like a little bit of a saltier crust on a bread loaf. And it's just to kind of season the egg wash a little bit so you get a little more flavor right upon contact with the tongue when you bite down on these baked goods. So totally optional, but this is what I like to do to my egg washes to make them a little more flavorful. And that's it. And that's really it. I'm just trying to get all the vanilla in there. I use real vanilla beans, so I'm not trying to waste any of it. Maybe I will assemble over here so you can see more of what's going on. Let me clear my work surface a little bit. I don't know if the cookies freeze well after they bake. I also don't know if they freeze well before they bake, TBH. But we shall find out, eh? Let's do the chocolate ones first, since I think they're going to be messy. I'm going to place them on the sheet tray. Actually, because I already have this parchment here, let's just use the parchment on top. as well. Parchment's already dirty from all the chocolatey bits. Okay, I'm going to place them about an inch apart. They will probably inflate a little bit when they bake. I'm going to put the bigger ones on the periphery, smaller ones on the inside, since the inside is a little more insulated. Just a little more insulated from the heat. I want the big ones to really get the brunt of the heat. The four corners are going to bake the most. Just play a little musical chairs with these. And I think we're good to go. We'll see. I didn't make a very even number of the chocolate one because I wasn't practiced enough on figuring out how to best cut it and portion it, so that's why we have a really weird number here. 4, 9, 13, 14, 18 of these. I'm making rugelach for a friend's birthday gathering. I had asked the organizer what I should bring as a gift, and he suggested that I should just bake something. So I thought, okay, let me see what I want to bake that is portable on an 85-degree day, because we will be taking a quote-unquote hot girl walk to celebrate this birthday. So you know, I wasn't going to bring any cakes or anything. It's way too moist, not very portable, not very edible on the go. And rugelach came to mind, and that also, because I had cream cheese already in the fridge, I was like, oh, I could use up that cream cheese. And rugelach famously uses cream cheese in the dough. This dough has 2 sticks of butter, 1 block of cream cheese, 8 ounces, and I had some cherries in the fridge, Luxardo maraschino cherries. I blitzed that up into a jam. I used up a chocolate fudge that was also gifted to me a while ago for this filling, and then I also had some walnuts in the freezer, and I thought, okay, we can toast up the walnuts and make a walnut filling. The nut filling is way more traditional for the rugelach. This is a Jewish dessert, I think originating from Jews situated in Poland, and it's now spread across the Jewish diaspora, and it's become very well loved. Especially because I live in New York, there's a huge Jewish population here, and so I just grew up with so many Jewish foods and didn't even think of them as Jewish, just thought of them as like delicious foods, because there's bagels everywhere, knishes, rugelach, challah bread. Around Hanukkah time, there's a lot of shops selling sufganiyot, which is just a jelly donut. So that is why I am making these today. I don't know if the chocolate needs extra sugar on top, but the walnut might. What I might do with the chocolate is sprinkle some sprinkles on these to make them look a little more festive. But maybe just a portion of them, because I know some people don't love sprinkles like that. Yeah, bagels are Jewish. So many foods with so many origin stories that are just under the radar, you know? That's one fascinating thing about our world is we have everything accessible all the time, and then because we are so inundated with the availability of options that we just forget where they came from, which is true of people too, I think. I'm gonna go ahead and just double brush some of these if they still look a little naked. The more even coverage you have, the more glistening it'll get in the bake. The eggs form kind of this shiny film. That just looks so gorgeous. And I hope it'll make even the messier cookies look a little more put together. And egg wash really does wonders for presentation on baked goods. I'm starting to sound like Martha Stewart here, I feel like. I also haven't really fully woken up yet, so extra monotone today. And let's just give these a little once over. I'm also taking my time brushing this on right now because the cookies are frozen, so I'm using this time to let them come to room temp a little bit more before I throw them into the oven. I don't actually know if you need to defrost frozen cookies before you bake them. Most of the time what I found is that you don't, especially if they're not yeasted. I would never suggest freezing yeasted baked goods because the cold just kind of stagnates and kills the yeast. Like if it's too cold, like a freezer cold. You can still obviously proof bread in the fridge, but I think the freezer is just a little too cold for it. And some rugelach doughs are actually yeasted. There's recipes that call for it being yeasted. So totally depends on your recipe. The brush is coming apart a little bit. Okay, let's sprinkle on some sprinkles, shall we? I have these cute colorful ones. I'm just gonna go on the smaller ones, I think, a little bit. Not too overwhelming, just for a pop of celebration, color. And you know what? I kind of really like the look of that. So maybe let's do it to more of them. Oh, that looks really pretty. That makes me happy. Happy is good. Happy is good. Okay, there you have it. They're sprinkled. That's one. I made these much smaller, so we'll keep an eye on this tray because I might have to pull this tray a little bit sooner than the other one because smaller things bake faster proportionally. There's more surface area exposing them to heat. But I do think I did a better job of portioning this batch because I had a better idea of how to cut them, including that tiny one over there. Progress, not perfection. Okay, cute. Very cute. I think this was a pretty fun cookie to make. I think if I had 4 hours to commit to the process of making these, I would do it again. Definitely not a fast project, that's for sure. You have to make the dough, you have to chill the dough, you have to make the filling, you have to roll out the dough, put on the filling, make these little crescents, then you have to bake them off. Maybe you can probably make them faster, maybe in 2 hours, 15 minutes, but I like to break things apart into different installments to make them feel a little more doable. Sometimes if I think about a baking project as I need to do this all in one go, it can feel very overwhelming. That makes it much less fun and dreadful, kind of, thinking about it. So it's just dependent on your mood. We're definitely going to have egg wash left over, so we're definitely going to have to bake something with that leftover egg. These neater walnut cookies, you have to hold them in place. Unlike the messy chocolate cookies, which kind of glue themselves to the sheet. You can almost pick them up and just brush them all around since they're not falling apart on me like the chocolate ones are. That's fun. I get to do a 360 coverage. It's actually way more efficient. This is why I don't understand when recipes call for a whole egg for an egg wash. I've always thought that was really wasteful. Towards the end of my time at Delish, whenever I developed a recipe that called for an egg wash, I would always figure out a way to like use half of the egg in the recipe itself. Cause like I don't think anybody else is really doing anything with their egg wash that's left over. And then you're just wasting half an egg. Shit like that really irks me. Okay, I'm gonna go over these a second time, brush them all around. Get their underbellies. I hope these bake well. We'll see. I think this process of freezing them before baking them is kind of perfect because you get to brush on the egg wash and handle them a little bit, and you don't have to worry about them kind of falling apart, losing their shape because they've gotten too warm. And I'm also curious to see how the two different batches bake because, as a reminder, on the last live, this walnut rendition has sprinkles in the dough which started melting, which then created water pockets. So we had to re-roll this dough twice actually, and I'm curious what that does to the dough texture, whether or not it's going to make it flakier or more dense. Because sometimes mistakes yield good results, so you never know. Okay. Let me wash my hands real fast. I'm going to preheat the oven. And while the oven is preheating, I think I'm going to throw in some walnuts. So that they can toast in there. Just the remaining bit of my walnuts. And I'm also going to throw in on the same tray some pumpkin seeds to toast. Again, just really trying to make use of the oven heat. I think a lot of the preheating stuff is like really wasteful, especially when you make sourdough. Sometimes the instructions are to preheat the oven for an hour, and I'm just like, who is doing that? Why would you do that? Maybe it makes for a better bread dough, and maybe it makes sense if you're in a commercial bakery, but like, I'm not doing that as a home cook. Jeez. There are some recipes that are just so faithful to their restaurant settings that I don't think they take home cooks and their needs into consideration as much. And sure, you can replicate it with great results, but like, to what end? You know, sometimes as a home cook, I'm like, that is so wasteful. It makes sense to preheat an oven for an hour if you're gonna bake 50 loaves at a single time. Not if you're just baking one or two. So that's the kind of thing I think about all the time. Okay, they are sprinkled with sugar. Just a tiny little sprinkle, like the actual color sprinkles. And now we have maybe 1/3 to 1/4 of the egg here. Let's figure out what to do with this. I'm unfortunately not feeling very confident about the chocolate ones because look, some of them are already like falling apart. And the fudge filling is starting to really melt. I think a lot of it is going to melt out and burn on the tray. But we'll see. We live and we learn. Live and learn. And drink your water. I'm going to take a photo of these before they go into... Oh, where's my phone? Cute. Okay. We made this silken tofu chia seed pudding. Let's see how it tastes. And maybe we'll bake some of this. No. This actually tastes pretty good on its own. Wow. Damn, I like that a lot. Maybe a little single serving brownie with a cherry on top. Maybe like an oats brownie. Guys, I need you all to stop asking about Erin. Seriously, it's fucking pissing me off. Like, I lost my shit on a follower on Instagram who was like, I haven't seen you in so long. Are you and Erin still together? It's been 5 years since we broke up, guys. I broke up the year my mom passed away, 2021. Y'all need to stop asking people if they're still together. Like, people you don't know, people you're not friends with. I'm sorry for blowing you up like this right now, but like, why are people asking people like this? Do you know how triggering it can be sometimes? Like, Erin and I are still great friends, so it's not triggering for me, but it is freaking annoying. And imagine if somebody you don't actually know had a really bad breakup and you keep asking them as a total stranger if they and their former partner are still together, like, just think about it, you know? Yes, I can put the cookies in the refrigerator to set them, if I had space in the fridge. Because it's on that big tray now, I don't have space, unfortunately. Anyway. I think the oven beeped. Is that right? Did it beep while I was gone and ranting? Okay, I'm gonna set the timer for 20 minutes to start. I do have some recipes that say it might take 25 minutes, so we'll just keep an eye on that. And I'll also set another timer for 15 so that we could check up on it in 15 minutes. In the meantime, there's Master Memo. I saw some of you asking. He came in here when he smelled cookies. He's, I think, a pastry fiend. He really likes to hide so you don't see him. But anyway, this hot cocoa powder has sugar in it already, so we're just gonna eyeball everything. Literally not measuring a thing. I don't even know how much egg I have in there. So 2 spoons of hot cocoa powder mix, 1.5 spoons of oatmeal, and then maybe I'll put some of this honey in. It's a test batch honey, that's why it's so gnarled through. But because we're baking it, it's the perfect use for a gnarled through honey. And this is also flavored with cinnamon and vanilla, the same flavors that are in the brownie. Just gonna do a little mix. Yeah, the pudding is just literally silken tofu, a little bit of leftover berry jam that I had, and chia seeds. I really think that was it. No, but like going back to my freak out over questions about relationships and just like all these personal things, I think it's because I'm a person who tends to be very upfront and personal about things, but I just feel like if you haven't been paying attention to my content, then maybe you can find the information there instead of asking me constantly about it. I don't know. It's just, it's a lot to deal with strangers asking you stuff about your personal life all the time, which is why when I was dating, I didn't want to post anything about my dates. And I think one of them felt some type of way about it, as if I was trying to hide him, and I really tried to explain to him, like, no, it's just because I want to keep part of my life for me, you know, like I want this to be my own thing that nobody else has access to, because I don't want people asking about it all the time. I think whatever I offer up, people tend to ask about, which is fair, you know, it's a natural reflex, but at a certain point, I just have to draw the boundary somewhere. And unfortunately, I think in that relationship, he like really didn't feel like I was being honest about that, and he really felt like I was trying to hide him. And so I'm so frustrated because it's kind of led me to this lose-lose place where if I offer things up and be honest about my life like a normal person could be on their 200 actual friends follower, you know, feed, but I have strangers following me. And it's just different. We'll put one of these cherries in here, and we'll bake that. But it's really hard navigating, like the personal, the private, what you share and what you don't share, and like the way people interpret those things. I think everybody interprets those things differently. I don't know, guys. I really struggle with some of that sometimes. I'm not going to bake this just yet. And technically, I guess there's eggs in there that I should bake. And I probably shouldn't have that, like, lick that batter because we have salmonella going on. But I did, so it's too late. Oops. But I'm gonna put that in maybe at the 10-minute mark when we open up the oven and maybe just like give a peek. And yeah, this is what I'm wearing to the hot girl walk. I got my compression socks on. I'm gonna have some blue UV sleeves on because, can you guys tell me if this has been happening to you? Can you see that? I got these like rash freckles after one day of walking. I walked maybe 3-4 hours that day, so I did walk a lot. But I put on sunblock. I had an umbrella acting as a sunblock. And I got both of my arms covered in these freckles. And they were so itchy and rashy, and I was like, oh, I got sunburnt. But no, they settled into these brown freckles. It's been almost 3 weeks since these appeared. They're just like permanent freckles now. I think they're gonna fade with time, but it's scary. It's going all the way up into my hand, which is why I'm gonna wear a UV sleeve today, because I'm just like, what is happening? Either the sun is getting more powerful or my skin is getting more fragile, or both. I think honestly, most of the time, it's always both. So while that's happening, I'm just going to be making more oat flour since I do like baking with oat flour quite a bit. Yeah, Memo. I gave you lots of treats already, baby. I'm not really taking prescription medication, so I'm just taking a lot of supplements. I really don't know what that could be. This is just my spice grinder, by the way. I like making small batches of flour and nut butter in here. This doesn't get flours as fine as my Vitamix does, but it's also way more contained and much less of a cleanup. So I really like using this. This is my toasted oats, by the way. To pulse it in the beginning so that the hot stuff on the bottom doesn't just cake onto the blade and then the top stuff stays coarse. I want them to be a little more homogenized, which is why I'm pulsing it before it settles into a brick on the bottom where it's the hottest. Oats have a lot of moisture in them even if they're toasted, and you can almost feel the steam coming off of them sometimes after you blend them. When I hear the blender struggling like that, I know it's about to burn out, so I call it at whatever stage of coarseness. Wow, I just suddenly remembered a dream I had last night. That's cool. I love it when that happens. I had a dream where I think I was shopping at the Key Food that I used to as a kid in Flushing, which is now no longer there. It's now like a Korean market. And I remember taking out my wallet and paying for things and then realizing I had lost all my other credit cards afterwards. And I got really distraught because I was really happy with the deals I found at that store up until that point. I was even checking my receipt to like figure out, oh man, how much did I pay for everything? I think I bought almost $90 something worth of product. Something was like $60, I remember, or $30. Something was really expensive, relatively speaking. Anyway, I came out of the store. The part I'm really struggling with right now with remembering is whether or not it was my dad or my mom waiting outside of the store, which is doing one of those like movie scene things to my brain right now where I'm trying to like play out my mom in that space and my dad in that space to see which one fits better. And the more I think about it, the less certain I become about who was actually there. Yeah, brain stuff, you know? That's how my brain works. Anyway, oat flour. There you have it. Although, I don't think this is the right lid. Alright, whatever. Okay. I am going to keep this grinder here because I actually want to toast more of the nuts after they come out. I've discovered that I really like sprinkling ground nuts onto overnight oats and puddings and yogurts, so I'm gonna do that before I clean this off. I think we're at the 10-minute mark now. I'm gonna turn on the oven light and check out what's, take a peek. Okay. Okay, things are baking. Come here. Come here. Come take a look. Yeah. Come around. He's just hiding, so you just don't see him. The more I tell him to come, the less likely he is to come. But let me give you a closer look, because things are baking. See that butter leaking a little bit? Yeah, it's really hard to let this camera focus. But anyway, it is baking. I now smell the butter, which is always a great sign when you can smell the things cooking. That means they're close. And Memo is taking a peek. Hello. Yeah. Okay, do you want a treat? Is that why you're bothering me? Come on. Hello. You just like smelling the chocolate? Yeah, me too. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it smells good, right? Smells good, and you can't have any, as the story goes. I know. How unfair. Anyway, I'm gonna put this on the nut rack, and it can go in and bake for a little bit, I guess. Or you know what? Fuck it. Let's just microwave it, because I don't want to keep the oven on for longer than I need to. I'm gonna go... There's an egg in here, though. I'm kind of scared. All right. Why are you meowing though? I don't know what you want, babes. I don't speak cat. What do you want? Okay, yeah, lie down. Lie down. What an elegant little loaf. Hmm? What an elegant little loaf. Anyway, we're microwaving it. Oh. It was starting to wobble. I was gonna add on half a minute, but it was starting to, oh, it's cooked. Oh wow, that was only half a minute, guys. This is how fast the microwave cooks. You ready? Look at the rise on that. Oh, it's steamed. Look, it's puffed. Look how tall it is. It was like here. It rose double, and that was half a minute. You heard the plate start to wobble? That means the moisture was starting to steam and cook and push against the plate, and that marks 15 minutes. Normally, I would open the oven and give everything a turn to make sure everything's cooking evenly. I don't know if I'm gonna do that. Don't know if I'm gonna do that. Let me see. I do need to put the nuts back in though. The nuts are not cooked, so. The rugelach looks good. I'm gonna get a little video for Instagram. Hi. Yeah, I know. They look good. And they smell good. And I need to throw the nuts in. And maybe I should wait when 20 minutes goes off. I'll throw the nuts in, give the trays a turn, and then decide how much longer they bake for. They are smelling good, but I don't see color on them. Yeah. I don't see color on them. But the sugar is caramelizing and cooking, so I know that it's not going to be absolutely raw inside. That's good. I'm curious how the chocolate is doing because it's on the top and I'm not really getting a great view of it, but we shall find out soon. 2 more minutes of waiting, and I'll read some of your comments in the meantime. And also, let's taste our chocolate silken pudding with the chocolate fudge that we made that I didn't want to use. Where's the spoon? Oh, here it is. I layered it with some oats and nuts and flax and pumpkin seeds. Look at that. Look at that texture. My goodness. Wow. Oh, that is so satisfying. It's so sweet though. Um, it's a little bit chalky. I think I could have skipped the bean liquid. It's giving it a little beany taste, but I think the silken tofu is giving this extra creamy vibe. It leaves this rich, it's not buttery. It leaves almost this like rich milkiness behind. Love it. Oh, I put tahini oil in here. That's why there's some kind of bitter note to it. I do love the sensation of the tahini oil, the slight nuttiness. Wow. That's 20 minutes. We're gonna open the oven. I'm gonna slide the nuts in on the bottom shelf to let them toast. And I'm gonna slide around the cookies. Oh yeah, that's a mess. That's an absolute mess. These are doing well though. Wow, the chocolate was a mistake, huh? Now we learned. That was a mess, guys. Yeah. I haven't heard about what Chobani Yogurt has been putting in their stuff. What has fill me in? What has been in their yogurt? I've loved their yogurt historically speaking. The brownie has shrunken. I'm gonna take a taste while it's still warm. Oh, I think I overcooked it, guys. Wow. It's a little dry. Mmm. It's good though. Just a little dry. I think back when my mom didn't trust Chinese food laws and safety, I heard from a lot of Chinese locals that like they rotate their poison, which is to say all of these food companies that are big and massively available probably do something shady. So the number one thing you can do is to buy from local people. Local farmers market, smaller makers, they don't make things at scale, they don't need to cut corners like that. Although you can't really ever tell. So number one is buying local, buying smaller, because you know when they need to make things at a mass scale and ship it everywhere, they're gonna need to put preservatives in there. And once they have the market cornered and monopolized, they can do a lot more shady shit. At which point you're already kind of like bought into the brand. Number two is rotate your poisons, which is to say don't eat too much of any one brand of things and just take in the diversity of poisons. The dose matters, I guess, when it comes to that. They put hormone disrupting chemicals in their products. You're gonna have to get way more specific. Is it because of the cows that they use, the dairy that they use? Are the cows being pumped full of hormonal stuff, or where are the hormone disrupting chemicals at what stage of the production process are they going in? Because everything's packed in plastic. And there have been a lot of scientific studies that show that plastics leach a lot of hormonal disrupting particles or chemicals, whatever you want to call them. Like BPA, things with acronyms like that I can't recall right now. So it may not just be Chobani. Like when they did that study about protein powders and they found lead above certain safety levels in protein powders, it's not like they were putting lead in their supply. It's because the beans grow in soil that has heavy lead content. That's not really something you can like control at the switch of a button. It's something environmental that we've been doing for a very long time. So if we keep polluting the air, the water, the soil, everything's going to have hazardous chemicals in them because it's a cycle and it's karmic, right? All of these production processes that we do to manufacture whatever that we're doing to make these things, all this plastic shit, the byproducts are going to go somewhere. And when they go into the water supply and the waterways and we share the water, when they set off bombs halfway around the world and they pollute the soil, the air, which then get carried across by water, things are going to happen. These look good. These don't. They can't all be winners. Come up close and take a look at the failure. Wow. What a disaster. The sprinkles did not melt, however. You can see they're very well cased. Whew. Anyway, the saga has come to an end. And my tripod is giving up, and so has Memo. He's fully given up. I'm gonna put the pudding back. Actually, let's put some of this pudding in the brownie so that the brownie can moisten up a little bit, because it's like really dry. I don't think the egg was enough. So let's just ice the brownie with some pudding and let it sit. A little brownie pudding. A little dirt pudding, if you will. So it's like half brownie, half pudding sort of thing. then we can take another taste with the oats and the jam. Pretty good. Would make again. Reminder to take your vitamins. I'll find a way to try to salvage that cookie. I will find a way. That's pretty hilarious. Oh my god, that mess. How do you think this will taste? I mean, it's just chocolate fudge. It's probably gonna taste delicious. Blah. Yeah, it's just like chocolate toffee. You want some? You want some chocolate toffee? Yeah. 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 I just made candy, y'all. I made candy rugelach. So yes, actually, this could be a brand new dessert. Let's cut it with a pair of scissors while they're still warm and malleable. Or should I wait for it to set? Oh, I don't even need scissors because I have heat-proof hands. Come, watch me just burn myself straight on here. Oh, that lighting is not good, huh? I can't put you there because I have all my pots here, sorry. I could actually salvage this chocolate for some other baking project potentially. Because it's still delicious chocolate, you know what I mean? And in fact, I could possibly layer this chocolate candy somewhere. Actually, what I'm gonna do is sort all of these off to one side. And we should definitely taste one of these just to make sure the dough isn't raw, but I'm going to put the chocolate ones here on the other side. molten. Guys, this is still kind of burning my hands. Yeah, fudge lasagna. Why the frick not? Sort of like underbaked on the underside because of how wet everything was pulled around it. So I might turn the oven back on and give them a second bake. Maybe off of the Silpat this time. But, you know, they're salvageable. Sorry, I'm just mocking my cat because I'm a meanie. He does kind of annoy me though. I'm not a very patient person, and so I think also I have a people-pleasing tendency, and I've been discovering that when my cat meows at me too much, I get kind of flustered because part of me is like, oh my god, he needs something. I need to make sure that I'm catering to all his needs so that I'm not responsible for killing him. And then the other part of me is just annoyed that I can't, like, relax. But that's a me issue. You know what I'm saying? And this cat is helping me understand so many of my issues. And for that, I'm thankful. Because he may be expensive, but it's kind of like on par with therapy, honestly. Therapy's not cheap. And he's kind of making me realize all these things that therapy would have made me realize, you know? This is a mess. It's so messy. Messy. Alright, now we're gonna do a transfer onto this other tray and potentially try to give these a second bake. Let's see. And I'm not really trying to do anything other than like toast the bottoms a little bit more, but I also do need to check to see if these are cooked. So a bit of a dual purpose here. All right, let's pick the ugly one. This one. Let's break this open. Dough's kind of raw on the inside. Okay, that's good to know. And then let's pick one of you guys. Who wants to be eaten? I want to pick one of the bigger ones just to see if it cooked. But this one is also speaking to me because it's already got a crack. Okay, dough is still a little bit raw. Like, not raw, you know what I'm saying? It's just like tender. But, okay, let's see. Okay. It's not very sweet, which might be good. Alright, how do I want to do this? I want to arrange the chocolate ones around the perimeter so that they bake more. I want to push the nuts inside so that they bake a little less. Nothing like eating straight sugar first thing in the morning. Okay, and I'll turn the oven back on, but maybe like 325 instead. Definitely could have gone heavier on the sugar for the walnut one, for sure. The chocolate one, yet to be seen. Let's take the walnuts out before they cook. I'm gonna move you back here before you cook. My phone's a sensitive gadget. But yes, the chef must always taste, obviously, it's a little soggy. It's a little soggy bottom. So the Silpat did do its job of not burning the bottoms, but it did kind of also hold on to the moisture. So IDK, if this is a winning strategy for future bakes. These are like more bready, I think, than cookie. But I like them. Definitely a little too wet on this one. Oh, but as they cool, they're getting like very breakfast strudel, which I like a lot. And I'm eating them. So I'm gonna take 2 in one bite. I like it. I like it. I'm going to toast some oats on here while the oven is going. And let's just set a timer for 10 minutes. It would have been better had I not taken them out of the oven for so long and just continued the bake, I think. Should have gone with my gut on that, but also didn't want to overbake them. First time making rugelach. First time for everything. That was way too much sugar in the morning, y'all. Okay. Let me see. Do you hear the crackling? This is my favorite part. What should I make with these toffee bits? soap pads are great because you can wash them and reuse them. When I worked in restaurants, most of the time, a lot of the savory people would just use soap pads. They don't even use parchment. Obviously depends, like soap pad traps moisture, as you saw. Parchment doesn't quite. Naked sheet will trap the least amount of moisture and give you the most amount of burn, char, toast directly on the baked good. So these are all just tools, but if you like non-single disposable stuff like parchment, which by the way you can also wash and reuse, which I have. Sometimes I just wipe it. I don't even wash it. I just wipe the parchment of oils and I store it in the freezer so the oils that stay on it don't go rancid. But soap pad is more of a long-term reusable thing. One thing that I could have done better on the walnut one was, I could have tasted the raw cookie before I baked it off to see how sweet it was. And then the other thing was to just give the dough a little more sugar. I thought by putting the sprinkles in there it would sweeten it up a lot more, but it didn't. But the secondary thing that I could have done was to cover it with more sugar when we did the egg wash, which unfortunately I didn't. I guess before we put it back into the oven, I could have cracked another egg, did another layer of egg wash, put more sugar on top. That would have probably made it sweeter. But, I'm just doing some sort of analysis of what to do next time in case the same thing happens. And then the chocolate one really showed me that the rugelach does way better with a much drier filling, mostly nuts, sugar. If you had to do chocolate, maybe just chopped chocolate instead of anything liquidy. I think because the dough itself is already so moist, adding in a moist layer in there, swirling it and bundling it together is just too much moisture for that cookie. So yeah, anyway, pretty fun. That was 5 minutes. We'll leave it in there for 5 more minutes. It's not a palmier because a palmier is way more flaky and crunchy. I think a palmier is a very, very butter and flour forward offering. This one is cakey or dense or even bready because it has cream cheese in it. So if I had dusted it with more sugar, skipped the cream cheese, eliminated the jelly filling, we would have been closer to a palmier. Noticeably, the doughs didn't taste very different with more rolling, so that was interesting. I guess that was one of the things I really wanted to see in terms of what difference it makes, and it didn't seem to make much. I feel a little bit sick now with all that sugar. Let me try to see if Memo would like some wet food. Would you like some wet food, baby? Would you like a little bit of buffet? And fish? Beefy and fish? I've been giving him the beef and the fish together because he doesn't like the beef alone. I think the texture is a little off. So I put in a little fish, add in a little water for him. I don't know if he'll eat it. We'll see. Would you like a little fish? Yeah? Not feeling it? Not feeling the fish? Maybe feeling the fish? How about some beef? I'll add a little water in here for you if you like. The beef is just like a little stickier for some reason. I'm not sure why. Alright, my 10-minute timer is about to go off. I'm not yet smelling the oats, but I will turn the oven off and I'll give the timer another 4 minutes just so that it can dry out a little bit in there because I am worried that the dough is too wet. So I added a little bit of water so that the consistency is closer to what he likes. The beef, I guess, has more gelatin in it maybe than the chicken and the tuna, so it's like stodgier. This is closer to the consistency that he likes. Yeah, he hasn't had diarrhea in a while because I think I have it dialed down, and also the weather's been okay. Like, it hasn't been too bad. I think when the weather goes above 95 degrees Fahrenheit, and also when we had the wildfire smokes, he was really not doing well. When we had the wildfire smoke coming through, I had the windows all closed. I had my air purifier going. I had the AC on. And he ended up both throwing up and having diarrhea straight on the floor. I think that was the first time that he pooped outside of his litter box. And then a couple of days later, he pooped straight on the bed. So I think the wildfire smokes really fucked him up. He's kind of like my own little personal thermometer of sorts of like health and wellness and how much the environment is holding up. So he's a little fun barometer. Didn't really finish it, and he didn't touch the fish at all. Okay, I smell the oats, so it's time for everything to come out of the oven. I've noticed, well, I've learned that my nose knows. The nose knows. So really pay attention to your nose. Okay, that's what our final rugelach looks like. This is for the thumbnail. And my hands are burning. Our oats are also toasted, which is great. Okay, I'm gonna send a photo to my friend. I've baked 48. I don't think I need to carry this many on me, and I'm gonna ask if he wants any. I'm gonna offer some to my friends. Whew. But yeah, what should we make? What should we make with our fudge candy? I'm thinking like a cake with a chocolate fudge ripple inside, right? Like, just throw this into the batter. Guys, should we make a cake right now? I know I shouldn't, because like my time is so tight, but I really don't want to hold on to that. Let's make a cake. Let's make a fucking cake. Let's use our oat. Let's smash an egg in there. Okay, speed cake. Speed cake. Rye and buckwheat flour. I'm not going to be measuring anything. I'm going to use 1 egg. All right, ready? I set a 15-minute timer. One egg. I want some flaxseed and chia seed in here just for health, to make me feel a little bit better about eating burnt fudge, literally. And then I'm gonna drop in some olive oil. Sorry for the blocked view. I'm cooking. This is what I would do if I were like on Chopped or some shit, you know? I want to put some nutmeg in here. Do they measure anything when they're on Chopped? I don't watch enough of that show to know. And then I'm gonna do a pinch of my citrus salt straight in there. I'm going to do some anise seed because I've been loving anise seed. Okay, and now I'm going to give this a whisk with my new mini whisk bought from the Salvation Army for $1.09. Beautiful. Okay, we need a little bit of baking powder. at least 1 teaspoon for every cup of flour, but we're eyeballing everything. So this will be the last of my buckwheat. We're going straight in. Farewell buckwheat. This was Best Buy September 1st, 2023. This is almost 3 years past Best Buy date. Okay. A little buckwheat here. Oh, we're gonna need some liquid. We are really going to need some liquid in here. I didn't think about that actually. What? Alright, we don't have a liquid. Let's just use the rest of this chocolate pudding that we already dug into, okay? Real trash cake stuff here. It's happening. This, just to remind you, this chocolate pudding has aquafaba, tahini, and silken tofu. So we've got protein, we've got fat, and we've got moisture. It's kind of a complete go. I'm a little bit tight on time here, so that's gonna go in. And it also has jam and seeds and oats. All right, what is the vessel we're baking this in? I wish I had my 8-inch, but I don't. So I guess we're gonna do it in here. I think we need a little more moisture, so I'm gonna put in a little bit of yogurt. This is non-fat yogurt. Okay, and I'm just gonna use this parchment since it's already oily and shit straight in here. I'm going to take out this. Guys, I think we need a little more baking powder in here. Half a teaspoon more, maybe. And I'll throw in a little vanilla. And I also have some of the cinnamon extract. Let's throw that in there. Trash cake. Anything else? Speak now. Wow, I licked that batter. It is really not sweet enough. Really not sweet enough. So we're gonna go in with some more of this honey. Which probably needs to melt a little bit better. And I think we also need a little bit of the oat flour. Balance out the moisture. Okay. I'm looking for like a cakey consistency here. I think we're very close to it. Putting the eggs back in the fridge before I forget. Honey is not melting, obviously, so I did not think that through. But we have to go into the oven, like now, so. Half of the batter. Spread it real thin. Because I want to bake this real fast. Kind of can't believe I'm doing this, but kind of totally can. I'm picking the crispiest shards, which are the most caramelized, to go into the cake, and I'm leaving some to decorate the top of the cake with, just to remind ourselves what a failure turned potential project this is. My hands are so oily right now, but the rest of the cake is going in. I'm trying to spoon it in as evenly as possible to cover over all the fudgy bits, because we don't have a lot of cake and this is a very big cake pan. So there's not a lot of room to like smush things around. So just being very strategic about where I'm dropping that batter. Unfortunately, you probably can't get a very good angle on this, but one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, got another teaspoon of batter out of that scrape. Okay, I can't believe I'm saying this, but let's turn the oven back on. 335 this time, and I'm just going to slide the cake in. I'm going to set the timer for 16 minutes, and I'm going to do some dishes in that time. And then I have to go to compost before I start walking at 12:30 to meet my friends. So time is very tight. I have to be out of here by 12 for sure. Oh, I missed your notes. Chili. Chili would have been fun for sure. I've been finding this kind of blind intuitive baking very fun because I feel like it's kind of similar to developing your general intuition, which is to say that like you'll probably make a lot of mistakes along the way. And I feel like you have to make those mistakes in order to develop your intuition. Like you have to kind of fact check yourself. You have to do this trial and error. And you have to learn how to navigate your impulses, and you check the results every time. And it feels very abstract, so it doesn't feel very scientific, but I do feel like there is some sort of like spiritual muscle memory there. And that spiritual muscle memory is like what you kind of have to build confidence in as you move through life. And that was 15 minutes from the start of the cake fiasco. Hopefully along the way you learn to have fun with experimenting with your own gut instinct instead of feeling traumatized by it. I think that's always the goal, right? Is how do you feel like you're having fun in life? yeah, it's way cooler today for now, at least. I plan to bake today, one, because the cookies will be fresher, and two, because today is the lowest temperature day of all the days of this week. Let me just try eating this tiny one. It's good. Tiny one is perfect. I should make them all this tiny from henceforward. That is just moist enough. Wow. Great job. Dishwasher safe, yes. Alright guys, don't mind me. I'm gonna do that thing where I clean the floor with my hands. There's just so much stuff happening. And I want to clean it right now without breaking out the mop. I found that this way of cleaning is so much more manageable sometimes mentally, instead of just blocking out 2 hours on my phone for cleaning. I just clean in 5 minutes in chunks. Makes it a punishment, almost like a chore punishment. Not as extensive of a clean, clearly, but I think overall it's a win because I don't dread it. And that has also taught me a lot about chunking up other things that I find overwhelming. Just set a timer to do something for 5 to 10 minutes. When you feel the impulse to do it, and then just do it. And then whatever you get done, you get done. Because if I think about it, cleaning never ends, right? You always have to clean. No matter how well you clean once, you're still going to have to do it again in a week. So these lives are actually really great for me because I get a chance to just stand here and clean while we bake things. White cabinet doors are great until you have to clean them. Wow, that looks so much better already. feel like this habit of chunking things up is something that long COVID forced me to reckon with and do, because I was so weak for a number of months that I really couldn't do 2 hours of cleaning at once. So I could only do half an hour max before I just had to sit. So it got me started on some habits that I think I'll keep doing. Even when I have more energy to do more, why push myself? All the time, pushing ourselves all the time, what is the cost of that? I actually had it on my agenda this week for 3 different days, kept delaying it, to vacuum and mop, and I didn't do it on any of the days. And I think 1, it's the weather, and 2, I'm just lazy. But I'm glad. The kitchen floor is 80% cleaner now, and that only took a few minutes. Okay, if I could have done anything differently with that cake, I would have eliminated the yogurt. I think that's what contributed to like the tart flavor that made me feel like I needed more sugar. That's one ingredient too many, I think. But we are coming up on the 16 minutes of the cake. It might be overbaked at this point, honestly. Never go in with a wet towel, that will burn your hand right off. Okay, it's wet, but it's set on top. It's definitely not cooked. 6 more minutes at 350. maybe it just won't set. That's also possible. That's also very possible. Okay. It's hot, y'all. It's hot. I will be packing the cookies up in this. They feel a lot more solid now that they've had a second bake and they've been chilling on this hot oven. I feel much, much better about this. Although, there are still some uggos here from the chocolate experiment. This one. Woo. All right, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38. Night shower. I don't know who can go to bed without washing off the grime of the day. I live in New York City. Going to bed without showering sounds unimaginable. I only do that on my worst depressed days. Getting my compost ready. looks promising. But I'm gonna leave it in there. And I'm gonna run to compost and start my day ahead, I think. Yeah, because it's not set yet. But I also don't want to keep the oven running. But thank you for joining me today. I'm sorry you didn't get to see the disaster cake, but maybe I'll go live later, tomorrow or something, and show you what it cuts into. Appreciate all of your moral support on this project over the past week. I think they really, with the exception of a few beautiful disasters, turned gorgeous. And let's do it again sometime. Okay, bye. Have a great weekend.